Welcome back to yet another episode of Darren's B Movie Rant and Review. And so I took the time and sat myself down and got comfortable with a little Amazon Prime and watched me a B movie. Now, this B movie, let me just tell you, was almost good. And that's a pretty good place to be. And so let me tell you about it. It's called Ice Spiders. There's the graphic right there, and it was another Asylum movie that was put out back in 2007. Now, I got to tell you that in order for a B movie to be a good B movie, one thing that it's got to have is got to have at least one washed up star from, say, the 90s. Maybe the dude had some bit parts on popular TV shows in the 90s, or maybe even had a 7 to 8 week run on said show. For example, today's washed up movie star is none other than the great Patrick Muldoon. And you might remember him from Starship Troopers in 1999 or Melrose Place in 96. He was also on Days of Our Lives back in 2012. And get this, in 1991, he was on Saved by the Bell. Which, by the way, I hated that show. It was so stupid. Because you see, I was in high school in the 90s, and my high school career was nothing like those guys. It was terrible. Anyway, let's get back to Ice Spiders. There's a good half a dozen other movies called Ice Spiders, but this one came out in 2007, like I said, and maybe I should watch the other 6. Maybe they're just as good as this one. But this one features a government facility that's tucked away deep in the cold mountains of somewhere. And of course, they are testing things that they shouldn't be testing. And in this case, they're genetically engineering spiders for their silk, for their web, because they figured out how to make it like Spider-Man. So the web is like ridiculously strong. Well, of course, because what's a good B movie without a good B movie evil doctor? The evil doctor gets some other ideas. And one of the reasons they put this laboratory in the cold mountains was because spiders don't do well in the cold. But see, he engineered these spiders, and all of a sudden they're doing well in the cold. And 6 of them, by the way, is how many they made, and 6 is how many they got out. So let me tell you some of the cool things about these spiders. Right in the beginning of the movie, some hunters run into these spiders, and the spider eats one of the hunters. Well, it kind of more rips him in half than eats him. But the hunter's I guess he's a real sportsman because he's hunting with a bow. And he's using a nice big fat compound bow. And he aims in on the spider, and he shoots at the spider, and the spider dodges the arrow, like the spider knows what arrows do, which I thought was pretty amazing. As the movie continues, we start to see more and more of these spiders, and they get pretty aggressive. These spiders do. We see these spiders riding on the hood of a bus. We see them. There's one particular part of the movie where the special ops military group is assigned to the lab for security, not only to keep people out, but to keep these spiders in. Well, the spiders get out, and the special ops guys are in the lab, and I loved it because the spider got a hold of this one guy, and all you see is his legs up in the air, and he's going back and forth like this. And it was hilarious to think that this spider could hold a dude straight up and down with a dude in his mouth. That was a pretty fun shot to watch. One of the other things that B movies seem to have in common is you would think that in today's day and age, with the power of Google, that you would be able to do a little research on the military and maybe learn some things, because you see, a lot of B movies tend to really screw this part up, because this is a special ops unit. And here's the thing, right? I want you to remember, we're in the cold mountains somewhere. And here's this military unit. They got messy hair, right? First off, if you're in the military, unless you're in the chair force, you don't have a lot of hair to begin with. They're wearing muscle shirts. Yeah, like from the 80s, right? Sleeveless shirts. And it's just, they're all wrong. They're not military. They look like a group of college frat kids going out to play paintball. there's a ridiculous idea that this is actually a special ops group, because I have a feeling that any 12-year-old on Call of Duty could take them out. But there they were. Now, imagine a spider, let's say the size of a large dog, about, I don't know, 15 feet away. And you have in your possession a very powerful assault rifle that was obviously issued to you by the military service you work for. Now, I served in the Marine Corps a long time ago, and even back in the 90s, we were issued an M16A2 service rifle that had an effective range of about 500 meters. Okay, that's a pretty good throw. But even at 200 meters, that's still a good throw. That's a long way away. 20 feet, assault rifle, should be a no-brainer. Well, all 5 of these guys try to light this spider up from about 20 feet, and somehow they miss him. Yeah, they missed him. It's terrible. I think they could have done a little bit better there. Now, this evil doctor I talked about, his name is Professor Marks in the movie. He's played by a guy called David Milburn. Now, I'm sure that Mr. Milburn is a fine actor, but probably shouldn't be playing a lot of evil doctors. I just didn't buy it. Not one bit. The spiders do shoot spider webs like Spider-Man. You know, they can aim and fire and wrap people up. That was pretty cool. There's another great scene when there's a coach up on this chairlift. He's going to go at the end of the day and take one final run. Well, he falls out of the chairlift, and you hear this massive crunch, and obviously it's supposed to be his leg. But now that he's injured, he's kind of stuck there. And guess what? He gets eaten by a big spider, which was really cool. And I also liked it when there's a particular area when the spider comes in through the fireplace into the lodge where there's some surviving humans. That was cool. That was a good time. And probably one of the better scenes is when Dash, who is the character that is played by the immortal Patrick Muldoon, gets into a fight with a spider and he manages to kill him with an axe. That was cool. I'm going to share with you 2 quotes from that movie. First one was made by a Mr. Frank Stone, who is the guy that's in charge of this ski lodge that's up there, and that's where all these civilians are. And as Patrick Muldoon, or Dash, is going out to help do a search for some missing hunters, you know, the ones that got eaten by the spiders in the beginning, Frank Stone tells him, "Be careful, sometimes nature strikes back." Yeah, pretty cool, because 10 minutes later, he's fighting off these enormous spiders. And finally, we get to the end of the movie. And it just so happens that one of the doctors in the movie who's been working in the lab is an attractive young lady. And of course, Patrick Muldoon's character, Dash, and her, they kind of get this little budding romance going. And at the end of the movie, she kills the spider with a mounted deer head she's taken off the wall of this lodge. And of course, you only mount a deer head when it has some massive rack. Big antlers, right? Stabs the spider with the rack. And of course, what does someone say? Nice rack. Well, it worked. It was a decent movie. And if you have an hour and a half to kill one day this week, I would recommend sitting down with Amazon Prime and watching you a little Ice Spiders. Remember, it came out in 2007, stars Patrick Muldoon, and it is another great asylum movie. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend, and until next time, we'll see ya.